all right. Happy Halloween to you. It's the spooky time of year. Well, we got some good news that won't scare you. This show's now 30 minutes. Yeah, the very first behind the scenes I did was an hour and 43 minutes. And then it was like an hour something. Then they said, keep it to an hour. And then they said, keep it to 30 minutes. All right, so we're going to do this behind the scenes today. We're going to talk about TV ratings. Let me first tell you what's happening at the network. Welcome to all of you that are watching us Halloween Day on Las Vegas Broadcasting Company. You see the network behind me right there. We are rapidly growing. We are the premier, the only 24/7 television network for, from, and about Las Vegas. We are not a local Las Vegas TV station. We are a 24/7 worldwide network, a window on Las Vegas for people who want to see what's happening in the entertainment capital of the world. And we just keep getting better and better, gooder and gooder. And that's for the people in the South, gooder and gooder. I love you folks, and I used to be one of you for a short time. Lived in Dallas and Houston, and so we are happy to have you with us today. Behind the scenes is produced here at our studios right off the Las Vegas Strip. We are also right off the 15 freeway. And we are just having the time of our life. Today we're going to have some really cool stuff. Hey, let me tell you, if you didn't see it on the last behind the scenes, somebody bring me a handful of flyers real quick. I don't need a whole box this time. Just bring me a handful of them. We are excited because we are taking the city and this city by storm. I like to tell people that we are taking this city to the world and bringing the world to this city. That's Las Vegas Broadcasting Company. And we don't just rest on our laurels and say, well, hey, we're on TV, so we don't have to do anything. No, we're about getting a greater viewing audience, and we are aggressively marketing the network. One of the things we're doing is knowing that 40 million people come to Las Vegas. We are getting these out everywhere. Hotels, resorts, casinos, attractions, restaurants, businesses, everywhere and anywhere we can, so that people coming to Las Vegas realize they can take Las Vegas home with them. And that's really what it is. It says on this, and this is not your local, as I said on the last broadcast, this is not a little laser printer. This is full color press. Excellent work. We are very proud of it. It turned out beautiful. It's just the tip of the iceberg of the types of things we're doing. And then we've got some special offers from businesses that you can watch right on the network. In fact, the official helicopter fleet of Las Vegas Broadcasting Company is 702 helicopters. And then this is above all Las Vegas ATV tours and water rentals. And you can rent an ATV or a jet ski and have the time of your life while you're in Las Vegas. A lot of fun. So special offers on that brochure, as well as how to stay connected to Las Vegas. 3 ways to do it. Las Vegas Broadcasting Company, The Best List, and Vegosity, which is a party social media network. It's just a big old party, and it's for Vegas-minded people. So if you'd like one of these brochures, we will send you 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 of them in a special envelope, and you can pass them out to friends and neighbors. Maybe you know people who are saying, hey, I'm going to Vegas. Well, then get one and give them these special offers that are in here. And simply go to our website, LasVegasBroadcastingCompany.com, simply LVBroadcasting.com. There's a contact page on there. Give us your address and info, and tell us how many you'd like. Up to 5. We'll send you 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. And we're happy to do it. And then when you're in Vegas, come by the studio. The map is right on there. Let us shake your hand and say hello to you. And we'll just look forward to that opportunity. Well, let's talk TV and let's talk ratings. Now, the last time on Behind the Scenes, I was speaking about, the time before last, I talked about the future of TV. And we were talking about the digital revolution. Tonight, I want to specifically hone in on ratings. We deal with a lot of people that are doing marketing. Many of our sponsors sponsor because they like the platform, they like what we're about, that we're a window on Las Vegas. But I want to kind of paint a picture with you for a minute. as in our discussion about the future of TV, I mentioned how things were kind of at I call it the golden age of TV. Many people say the golden age was Lucille Ball, Milton Berle, those types, but TV was still reigning supreme during much of the 80s, and there started to be some indications of some changes in the 90s even, but it didn't really start to get crazy until, probably 2005, 6, 7, maybe 8. It started getting really... Last year was the worst year in paid TV subscriptions, either new people signing up and people leaving, that industry has ever had. So that's in part because of devices like Roku, Apple TV, as well as on-demand. You can hook up your computer or smart TVs, which is becoming... now think of this number. When I talk to people about Las Vegas Broadcasting Company and smart TVs, many people are still accustomed, not many, a lot of people are getting it. But there are still a lot of people who see television as something that must come through a cable box. Now, I'm not going to repeat our last discussion about television, but this is important because tonight we're going to talk ratings. And smart TVs, I said dial on the last program. What I meant is apps and icons. I think the app word's a little bit confusing to certain generations because they associate it with something on the computer. Let me say something about smart TVs. Smart TVs, by the year 2018, about 80% of everybody on the internet, anybody with an internet connection, 80% of them will have their television connected to the internet. Right now, in 2016, it's already 60%. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because more and more people are getting television, and this is an incredible time for businesses, enterprises to market through digital television. Let me equate it to the internet. Back in the 90s, when I was doing my TV show in Dallas, early 90s, I had a business owner who came up to me and said, "I'm building a website. Have you ever heard of a website?" And I was like, "Yeah, I've heard of websites." He goes, "I'm so excited. I mean, people are going to be able to come right to my business." I mean, he was explaining what a website is. And they weren't just everywhere. I'm sure a lot of people in the know knew about them, but kind of out there in middle America, people weren't all clamoring to find websites. Well, when you think of the internet, of course, I remember the day when businesses were excited about Google. Do you realize with Google, I only pay for the people who click? And that's when it first came out. And then everybody was like, well, they click, but some stick. And, it works for some and others love it, others not so much. But the thing about the internet is people do still get pie in the sky and say, well, my website. You have to market. The internet's not like some magic little, pixie dust that you just, or golden fairy that you just plug it into the golden fairy called the internet and magically the competition out there is crazy. And if people can't find you, what does it matter? So people still have pie in the sky. I know a lot of businesses are like, well, I'm spending, $8,000 on a website. Oh, that's awesome. I'm for that. It's going to be beautiful. Well, how are you going to market it? Are you going to do SEO? Oh, no. I'm building the website. You're going to advertise it? Well, we're putting it on our business cards. You're spending $8,000 on a website to market to the people who are already walking in your door. Now, what sense does that make? So the internet's awesome, as we all know. I mean, it gives you access. It doesn't even give you reach. In TV, we have a thing called reach. How many households do you reach with your network? Well, it's not quite the same on the internet. On the internet, you just have a vehicle of delivery, and you're there and can be found. At least on cable television and satellite, when you have reach, you're being presented in a channel lineup next to other channels, and people may or may not click on your channel. But it's you're talking about, even on big systems, 1,000 channels versus bajillions of websites. So I wanted to paint that picture because Now think about how powerful and positive the internet is. If you market right, it can help your business. It's a good thing. I'm for it, and we use it aggressively here. It's part of our campaign and what we offer. But now I want to take you to digital television. We're talking ratings tonight, and I'm going to get right into it. This is going to go quickly. With digital TV, meaning smart TVs and IPTV and OTT devices, what I meant to say, and media players, and the Rokus and the Apples and the Hitachi TVs and the Panasonics and the Sonys and all that. The power is that, and I don't want to let this out because I don't want everybody running to do it, but the amount, I think we counted on Sony, there were last time we looked, less than 300 or so apps or channels on the smart TV Sonys. Somewhere between 3, maybe 500 if I'm right. It was 500, okay. So it's 500. Now think about that compared to the internet. How many websites are you competing with? And yet, you plug that TV, which is, now think of the market share. You're going to be right now it's 60% of the people that have internet connection at their house have a TV plugged into the internet. 80% by the year 2018, about a year and a few months from now. 80%. And your competition is 500 to 80% of the people, they've got it plugged into the TV because they're going to watch it. So that same internet connection is going into a computer where your competition, just at face value, we're not talking about what you can do to narrow that down like Google or, banner ads or pop-ups. Cursed you people with pop-ups. I curse thee. They're pretty much done away with, but there's still some that try to find their way through. But think about it. So you're going to be having access through smart TVs to 80% of the people who have internet. And then this number's amazing. When it comes to content that people watch video-wise, do you think the computer's number one? It's got a hell of a lot of content, doesn't it? I mean, just YouTube and Daily Motion and Vimeo, and I mean, we could go on and on. It's just, I don't know how many hundreds of millions of pieces of video are out there. But do you know about 80% better, 80% of the content watched, let me say it this way. It's about 20% of the video content is watched on a computer, and then it goes down when you get to a phone. Why? Because people watch quick stuff, and then you get frustrated because your data runs out on your phone. Now, are we headed that direction? We already are. We all know that. But it's not perfect yet. But at the end of the day, while we may not be living in 1955 and all sitting around in a black and white TV set as a family watching the same show, Leave It to Beaver, we have still not abandoned the television set as our primary vehicle by which we watch content. So you have that factor. So you have about a 60 to 70% greater chance of reaching people for a longer period of time on television. So do you see the picture here? Think if I came to you and said, I'm going to put you on the internet and make you one of only 500 people who have access to the internet. What would you say? Oh my God, I want to sign up. I'm going to make you one of 500. I'll make you one of 1,000. What if I said I'm going to make you one of 5,000? I mean, think about, there's 360 some million people in America alone, not to mention the whole globe. And what if I said, you have got direct access to 80% of the internet market, and only 500 or 1,000 or 3,000 or 5,000. I mean, if you want to say, oh, you're being conservative at 500, fine, call it 5,000. I'm fine with that. So you're going to reach 80% of the internet market. You're going to reach them and only be competing with 500 to 5,000 if you're liberal, 500 to 5,000 competing channels or, like websites. Only that's it. That's your competition. That is incredible. And if I told you that about the internet, I try to get the picture through for people to get what I'm talking about. So let's go back to TV for a minute. Who's watching and how many people are watching? Well, Johnny Carson, I'm using averages here. Okay, I'm not going to his lowest rated show. I may talk about some of his highest rated shows in a minute, but on average, Johnny Carson, even in the bad days, there towards the end, he was really upset when Arsenio started the Arsenio Hall show. He was upset first at Joan Rivers. But Johnny was the big kahuna. And the Nielsen ratings have a kind of a point system, a 5.3, a 7.3. And Johnny consistently pulled a 5. I mean, you could say maybe there were some bad days of a 4 or something, but basically a 5 to a 7.3. And what did that translate to? Well, Nielsen ratings calls it households, TV households. Now, this is a tricky number in the year 2016 because TV households are not what they used to be, and I don't care what anybody says. You and I know it. Nielsen say, a TV household is 3.5 people. Yeah, that doesn't mean 3.5 people are watching at one time, and they do have numbers for that. But people get confused with TV households. But in Johnny Carson's day, the number of people watching compared to a TV household were pretty close. Why? Well, first we had the issue of a television was very expensive. And most people in the early days of Carson only had one TV in the house. And then it grew and mom and dad got one in the bedroom. It really wasn't until the late 80s, early 90s that kids started getting TVs in their room. And that was like a big, big deal. I mean, when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s, all my friends didn't have TVs. And then it was, okay, we got a little black and white thing. So we got the leftover black and white TV. But when we all wanted to watch something great, we all decided together. And we went downstairs and watched the big color TV with the remote control. And the remote was a whole nother dynamic in television. So what did that mean? Well, Johnny Carson would have 7 million households to 9 million households. Now, how does that compare to like Jimmy Fallon today? Well, Jimmy Fallon's big numbers are 4 million people, 5 million people, 6 million people. Johnny had a low number for Johnny to be in the 7 million households, which could easily be 21 million people, at least 14 million people on average. Johnny's peak show was a show with Tiny Tim, and that was like 20 million households. And that could have easily been 40, 50, 60 million people watching that night. At that time, that's like maybe 20%, 15. You say, you're being liberal. 10%. That's a lot of people in the United States. The market share for Carson was huge. And the Fallon people keep trying to push that. Now, his ratings just came out here. Late night ratings, September 26th to the 30th, 2016, The Tonight Show dips. And so, he had some of his lowest ratings. But here's Johnny. Johnny's a 5.3, a 7.3, and they're celebrating at a 0.89 rating for Fallon. And Fallon's big. I'm not putting him down. I'm just saying how fractured the TV market's become. Now, so you're talking about millions, tens of millions of people that watched TV shows back in those days. All right? Well, how many people watch CNN in prime time in a night? If Fallon's doing a few million, then what? CNN's got to be doing at least a couple million, right? Well, right now, the cable news networks are peaking because it's election season, and they're just having a heyday. In fact, Jeff Zucker, the head of CNN, recently told his shareholders, don't plan on this for next year. Everybody's happy. And by the way, CNN has been pulling behind MSNBC sometimes, and that's the bottom of the barrel. I mean, CNN's tanked. They've had a few good days, but all in all, normally they're around 443,000-ish. Right now, it's not quite double, but it's at 723,000 in prime time, for all of prime time. We're talking hundreds of thousands, not millions. And that's shocking. I'm sure it's shocking to them. That's probably why Ted Turner got out and said, hey, I wrote it while it was hot. You don't know. I know they didn't want him there. But anyway, Fox News, which is the big kahuna. And the reason this came up today is because I was watching CNN for a little bit, and they have a guy who nobody watches on a Saturday afternoon. I mean, I've talked about taking rest. I had about 2 hours, and I rested. So I flipped on, and I watched a little bit of Fox. I flip around. I checked in on History Channel, bounced back to CNN, and was just wanting to see what's happening in TV land. And I stumble across a guy nobody's watching, and he's sitting there lecturing Fox News. Now, look, I'm not making a political statement here. I'm just telling you, are you serious? Do you know that Fox News has been pulling, their low is like 1.1 million viewers in prime time, and they're doing as much as 1.8 million viewers in prime time. And here's some guy, at the time infomercials are running on a lot of channels, in the middle of the afternoon on a Saturday. And he's lecturing Fox News about what they need to do. And I said, I wished I had a DVR that I could have just pushed record because it was hilarious. I couldn't believe this guy was lecturing them. Their ratings are CNN's been the laughing stock. I'm only talking numbers. I'm not talking politics. So, how does that relate to Las Vegas Broadcasting Company? Well, our strength here at our network is called frequency. Now, let me give you an example. We're not up to the point yet where we're reaching any numbers that I can compare to Fox. They're just kicking it out of the park. But we're just a few months old with our rebranding and our new name and Las Vegas Broadcasting Company. And so we literally came on the air very quickly, very, very quickly. And the last quarter, Q3, we only had in that quarter 20 days to measure our responses on digital media and television. And do you realize that in a month, we reached what a program on CNN reaches, one program. Now, granted, that's a program to a month of a 24-hour network. But that's pretty impressive coming out of the chute cold turkey. And my question is, do you think it would be better to advertise for a few $1,000s one time on that show or a show on CNN, or to be seen many times in a month on Las Vegas Broadcasting Company? Well, that's what we call in marketing and advertising frequency. If you have an option of reaching 10,000 people one time or 1,000 people multiple times, dozens and dozens of times, you'd rather hit that 1,000 many times. And I'm using very small numbers to keep it simple. Because it's that power of suggestion. It's that repetition. Unless you're going to be giving away a car. The masters of this is Publishers Clearinghouse. They'll do that thing where they'll buy a commercial to go live and say, you just won Publishers Clearinghouse $5 million. And they get a lot of mileage out of that. One spot. Now, of course, they run spots up to it saying, join now, and they put out their mailers. And then you can have one spot in the Super Bowl, which is sometimes a product launch or a branding spot like Coca-Cola or Budweiser who just wants it to be seen. And even those guys don't run one spot in the Super Bowl. They'll run 2, 3, or 4. But the average advertiser, no matter if you're a big hotel here in Vegas or a local business, needs to get their message out many times. And the second thing we do at Las Vegas Broadcasting Company is the way we present what we do. I got to move quickly through this. But let's say you're watching Danny Coker on History Channel. Well, the best commercial that could run right after Danny Coker would be a car commercial, because his show, Counting Cars, about cars. The next best commercial would be a commercial that targets the demographic, the male audience, whatever his demos are. You'd want a commercial that specifically targets that, but you're going to lose people at that point. Oh, it's a Gillette razor commercial, click. But when you get down to a generic commercial like a McDonald's, click, right? Well, at LVBC, Las Vegas Broadcasting Company, we can hide commercials because we can give you 3 minutes about a hotel and tell what's going on at your hotel, and people will sit there and actually thank us for playing it, right? Because it's well-produced, it's fun, it's Vegas, and that's the network they came to watch. And so you get a lot more mileage with us. And I'm telling you some numbers here about the very early days of Las Vegas Broadcasting Company. So, and dollar for dollar, you can advertise with us for 30 days. We do 90 days, 6 month, and 1 year packages, and we have a partner program for the hotels. And our network's your network when you're a partner. You can come on and say, hey, listen, we got to promote this tonight. We just found out we're doing it tomorrow or next week. Boom, we get it done. So it's a pretty exciting time here at Las Vegas Broadcasting Company. When I looked at that, I said, well, for crying out loud, in our first, we had 20 days only that we could put, into our numbers for Q3. Just 20 days. And we're already reaching numbers that CNN, who's not doing so great, but we're just a little Las Vegas Broadcasting Company. So I say all that to say the future is really bright, and we are excited to be serving Las Vegas, the tourism industry, and guys who are running gambling sites in the Cayman Islands. All right, if you want a brochure, give us a call. Go to our website. Just simply fill out the contact form. Tell us how many of them you want. Let's get these out to your friends and family. There's discounts and savings throughout. Fun ways to connect to Las Vegas year-round, 24/7, whenever you feel like it. A gorgeous picture of somebody there. Could be me. I will see you next time on Las Vegas Broadcasting Company Behind the Scenes. Don't forget, please do not forget, we will be live all night, Halloween night, tonight, for a marathon from 6 p.m. Pacific until 6 a.m. Pacific. I'll see you then.